First, let's start with size. Let's see how different they are. First thing that I have to say is there's tires right there, so the bicycle is forward by a few inches. But other than that, they're surprisingly similar in length. I was thinking that the bicycle would be way shorter, but actually, they're pretty similar in length. With modern bikes now, and the 29-inch wheels and everything, the bikes are pretty long now, so it's interesting to see how similar it is to a mountain bike. Or, a mountain bike is similar to a motorcycle. Height-wise, the handlebars are way lower. Just look at this. That's a big difference. And the seat is actually a bit higher. I have my seat up probably not too low but not too high for the size of bike. It's a medium, by the way. But the Suzuki Tempter, which is this motorcycle over here, is a pretty low bike. So maybe if it was a taller bike, it'd be a little more similar to a bicycle, but bicycle is way higher than the motorcycle. Width-wise, this is when things get really different. My bars on my mountain bike might even be a teensy bit wider than the motorcycle's handlebars, but the motorcycle handlebars have a lot more sweep, so that makes a difference. But the whole part of the motorcycle itself, the frame and everything, is way wider than the bicycle. Geometry. How does geometry compare? Geometry is sort of a technical thing, and there's a lot more than what you can just see. But one thing that I can see is that the head angle on both of these bikes are surprisingly similar. This is a trail bike, more on the XC type, not totally an XC machine, but it's in between XC and trail. It's still slack enough, but it's not the slackest thing ever. And the Suzuki is a sort of street bike. The Suzuki is a bit slacker in the front, but they're surprisingly similar, actually. Another thing is that where the axle was mounted in the bicycle, it's way forward, but on the motorcycle, it's actually straight down pretty much. Let's look at what makes you go and what makes you stop. First, obviously, this bicycle is powered by the rider itself. It's all up to you and the muscles in your legs. Bicycles have always been like that, and that makes them sort of a bicycle. Unless it's an e-bike, which has an electric motor, but we're not going to get into that. This is a normal mountain bike that's powered by your leg. On the motorcycle, Suzuki Tempter GR650cc is a little different. It's powered by petrol or petroleum gas, pretty much. Yeah, like your car, you know? So, there's the tank here, which you fill up at a gas station, and then the gas goes into it, it's mixed with the carburetor, it gets spark explosion, and moves a piston, and that makes the whole motorcycle go. A little different than a bicycle, which is powered by a human. So that's probably a pretty big difference between a mountain bike and a motorcycle, is what's making the thing go. I guess you could maybe push the motorcycle with your legs, but good luck going up a hill. That sounds really difficult. Next, what makes you stop? That actually looks pretty familiar, right? We have two disc brakes, or one on each bike. So in the front we have a hydraulic disc brake on the mountain bike, and that's also true with the motorcycle. We have hydraulic disc brakes, or brake on the motorcycle, you see. So the motorcycle does not have a disc brake in the back, it has a drum brake. Yeah, what's a drum brake? Bicycles actually did have drum brakes. I've owned one and they kind of suck. So a drum brake is inside of the wheel, so it has shoes that move out and create friction against the wheel that stop you. And we have a disc on the mountain bike in the back, which is similar to the fronts of the motorcycle and the bicycle. What next? Ooh, gears. They both have gears. The Suzuki Tempter is a manual. I don't know how many speeds it has, but the shifter is by your foot right there, so you move it up and down to shift your gears and neutral and everything. And you also have a big clutch you have to use when you shift. It's a little different to a mountain bike where we have 10 speeds or more or less, depending on your bike. But it's a different mechanism. We have a shifter, which is operated by your thumb, and a little different. Another key difference between both of these two-wheeled vehicles, between a bicycle and a motorcycle, is that a bicycle, you're over the front a lot more. You're leaning forward a lot, and your arms are bent, and it's sort of an attack position. But as we can see on the motorcycle, is that it's totally different. The motorcycle is on a stand, so it's a little higher, but we get the same idea. So, look at this. My back is straight as can be, pretty much. Very straight and relaxed. It's like I'm sitting on a toilet, pretty much. Scooters are like that. Motorcycles are a bit different, but it's like sitting on a futon. No, futons are different. But you get what I mean. They're very upright and relaxed. Suspension is one thing that these two-wheeled vehicles share something in common. So in the front, they both have suspension forks. You know, it's a telescopic mechanism. So this part moves into that. It's pretty simple. And it comes back up. Another thing, once we dive deeper into this, is that these are both air forks, which means that you put air into the fork so it acts as a spring instead of a coil shocker like a spring. It uses air instead, which is also lighter, not that it makes that big of a difference on a motorcycle, but it gives you more adjustability, which is always nice. The motorcycle does have a triple tree design. That means that there's 3 post sort of things, and then it goes all the way up into here, sort of, so it's a bit more sturdy than this, where the fork's all on the bottom and it goes down. It doesn't come all the way up and encompass the headset in a way. Once we move on to the back, we have a shock. This is an air shock, but that's a little different because the Suzuki motorcycle has a coil shock, but it does the same thing, which is interesting. One fun fact about the Suzuki Tempter is that this one was one of the first motorcycles to have a monoshock, which is similar to bicycles, where there's only one shock. Originally, with older motorcycles, they had 2 parallel shocks usually, but they've gotten so good where you only need one. And that sums up pretty much what's the difference between a bicycle and a motorcycle. I'm sure a lot of you are not seeing this video coming just because it can be kind of obvious, but I thought it'd be interesting to see what actually is the difference. They're both on 2 wheels, they have full suspension, they have similar brake mechanisms, and another thing is that a lot of people are saying that new modern mountain bikes have gotten so advanced that they're like little motorcycles, and I think after doing this, I have to disagree. I don't think new modern mountain bikes are motorcycles. Motorcycles are way more complicated. They're way heavier. This thing is like 300 pounds, which surprisingly is on the lighter end, and that bike is like 30 pounds. That's 10 times heavier than a bicycle. That's mind-blowing. And that's on the lighter end, too. I can't imagine anything heavier than that. That sounds kind of a pain. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video learning about what's the difference between a motorcycle to a bicycle. Anyway, thanks for watching.